Hello, welcome to the Nintendo Bros podcast. This is Pete.
And this is Derek.
And you know what we're here to do. What are we here to do?
Talk about video games, everything Nintendo.
Yep. And this time we have an exciting Nintendo Direct that just happened. The September 2022 Nintendo Direct. 40 minutes long.
Yes.
Derek, I'm just going to quickly ask you before, we didn't really get a chance to podcast before this, like having a hype train predictions podcast, but going into this, how were you feeling? What was your hype level? And how were you feeling?
Yeah, my hype level was not through the roof. I don't know what yours was like. Mine was, I was excited to hopefully see some new games. And, because they were focusing on games coming out in the next, let's say, 6 months, that also excited me because I was hoping to, kind of fill out the timeline and roster of what my purchase plans for the 6 months. And I was pleasantly surprised with how the Direct turned out. I mean, we'll get into it a bit more, but, it didn't blow me away. I don't think there's any huge megatons. Like, there's maybe one or two that were quite big, but nothing that was like internet melting. But I really enjoyed it.
So you're saying the reason you like Directs is to plan your purchasing decisions over the next 6 months? That's
No, I think I meant more so. A lot of times we'll watch trailers and it's like, 2024, or it's like just a cinematic, where this is like, this game's coming out in January. It's like, that's awesome. Like, I'm stoked for that.
Well, that's the thing with Nintendo Directs, right? Is that they usually focus on the next six to 8 months, and there's usually stuff that you have never even heard of that is going to come out within those 6 to 8 months. So I'm usually pretty excited because, anything is possible. And with the September Directs, those are usually pretty big, and they haven't had a Direct in a while, and it's 40 minutes, and there's a lot of rumors about Zelda and Metroid. So I would say my hype level was probably at a 9 yesterday. Yeah, and this morning. Okay. Yeah, I was
like more like an 8.5.
I mean, it came so quickly, right? It's like, tomorrow morning. Like, I love that. I'm glad there wasn't a whole day of just like people talking about it,
Yeah, I like that.
Anyways, let's get right into the actual Direct. So the first thing they showed off, Fire Emblem Engage. I think the logo for this looks really cheap.
I don't like even the word "engage" for it.
Like, it just the font they used, how it like clearly doesn't match the Fire Emblem font, and it doesn't have its own distinction. Like, it just looks like it was made like in Photoshop by someone in grade 9.
Exactly. It looks like it truly looks like someone made a fake spoiler of the game when you see the title card.
Yeah,
it's like someone just thought of some random word. It's like, Fire Emblem Engage. It's like, and like, imagine the pitch. Someone's like, like you can play all the heroes from every other game.
Yeah, it's like,
and right. the main character has bright blue and red hair. It's like, sounds so ridiculous.
I know, seriously. Anyways, you're more of a Fire Emblem fan because you played almost all of them. What did you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited for it. I'm a little bit more reserved just because I didn't love Three Houses, as I've mentioned in other podcast episodes. This game looks good. I just watched the trailer again. I like that they almost, I don't know how to describe it. They almost like have a black outline around their characters. Like they like put a black, almost like a Sharpie look around their characters, which kind of makes it a little bit more, almost gives it a better cell shaded look and really kind of pronounces the characters, which I thought was cool. So I'm excited to see more of it. And, some of the leaks from a few months ago, it looks like this game's going to have a lot of classes and promotions and like upgrades, which is kind of cool. The thing I'm hesitant about, as I mentioned to you earlier today, is I don't love the kind of sim, you're in your fort and you have to like build your relationships and stuff. I just kind of want to play the strategy part of it. So I'll have to see a bit more. I am excited. I probably will get this day one, but I just got to see more of it.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's a huge skip. Even though it seemed to me like from the outside of someone who doesn't really play or appreciate Fire Emblem games very much, that it looked good. Like the graphics looked like a big jump over Three Houses from where I was sitting.
That's what I felt too, yeah.
Yeah, like even it just looks higher production value. And at least when I first saw the trailer, my takeaway, other than the terrible font of the logo, was like it seemed like it did focus, at least the trailer focused less on the town and the relationship building. Like it's probably there.
Agreed.
But it's been there for a while. But the Three Houses promotions was like, hey, look, you can go around a town and do all this stuff. this was more focusing on the action, and I really liked the way the actual SRPG strategy action looked. But I'm at the point where I'd rather it just be like Fire Emblem Awakening, where I'm on a map and I choose the next stage and it tells me the challenge level, and I go in and I play on a map right away. Like, you know, it's just gonna finish and say, the story does nothing for me. Sorry.
I don't think you're alone in the whole idea of just kind of map after map and kind of increasing difficulty and a lot more strategy. The one thing I will say that I really, really like about this game over Three Houses is the character designs. I know the main character looks kind of silly with the two-colored hair, but when I played Three Houses, the thing I hated is every character had the school uniform or the school costume, and it became like they all just, I really couldn't think of any. And this game has a lot kind of, I like the Fire Emblem very like aesthetically wild designs, you know, like with really unique colors, and every character feels really unique. So yeah, I'm excited for this game.
So what do you think? Are you going to day one this? Or are you going to skip it?
So it really depends on what we see more of. If it ends up falling back to being very, very, very similar to Three Houses, as far as difficulty and map design and the simulation kind of fort stuff goes, I'd probably wait. If it you know, like you said, pulls away from the sim stuff, or if they get a little more creative with their map design, because again, Three Houses, like when you actually play the strategy, all the maps are very similar. It's wipe all the enemies. The maps didn't have any kind of these unique features. Where if you go back to the older Fire Emblems, they had these things like, you know, take the catapults and do this certain thing, or defend these things, or don't let the houses burn down. They have a little bit more interesting objectives. Yeah. So I'm hoping they kind of bring those back into this. And I another thing I'm really looking for is kind of the meatiness of the story. Three Houses, the one thing I didn't really like is it had 3 different stories, actually 4. So you played the whole game, then you just restarted, and I felt like I didn't really want to play it again. So I only really saw 1 and maybe 1.5 of the stories. So I'm hoping this game is one long story, kind of like Path of Radiance or Radiant Dawn for the GameCube and the Wii, where, you know, there are 50, I think Path of Radiance is like 60 chapters, and you get this huge team, and they all just kind of level up for so long. They get all these different promotions. So I think the length and kind of meat to the game is important for me too.
Yeah, it's almost like, I mean, they've done this kind of split game for a while now, since Fates, right? Fates, and then the one after, they did 3 separate releases, and then Three Houses. So it almost would be nice if they just focused on one story again. Like, when's the last time they did that?
I think it was the
Awakening.
Well, besides for remakes, maybe the Wii one.
Wasn't Awakening just one path?
Oh, Awakening. You're right. Awakening was after Path of Radiance. Yeah.
Yeah. So Awakening. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I saw someone say online, they're like, "When can I pre-order the Fire Emblem Engage special?" Oh, it's sold out. Because apparently it's gonna sell out.
Yeah, it's gonna sell out crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was also like, it's coming so soon. Like,
I know that, like, again, that's kind of why I'm stoked as well. I'm not like, oh, I gotta wait to see, you know, it's not coming in October next year. It's like, you know, in 3 months we're gonna get a lot more stuff about this, and I can start like being serious about getting stoked for it.
Yeah. But anyways, it's still a pretty big announcement to start the show off.
It's good way to start. I agree.
After that, they showed It Takes Two. It's coming to Switch. What, like 2 years later, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that people are getting a chance to play it if they haven't. It's a great game, but I've already played it, and so have you for the most part.
It looks really bad on Switch.
Yeah, it does.
And especially, I mean, can you imagine playing tabletop with it, in tabletop mode with a friend? Like, splitting the screen?
Well, I would never play that game in tabletop mode.
I know, it'd just be so awful. Like,
yeah,
2 people with individual Joy-Cons with dual analog controls somehow. They have to, like, hold down...
But you can play it on the... You can always play it on the TV.
I know, I just mean, like, how is that going to work? You have to, like, hold down ZR, and then it switches the analog to aiming, like... Well, okay, let's skip over that. After that was Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, which was actually leaked just yesterday by it's called The Snitch. Have you heard of this guy?
Yeah, on Twitter, yeah.
He's like 100% track record. Like, how do these people do it? Like,
apparently he's works in the back end of YouTube is the theory. Because he only releases stuff like 2 or 3 days before it gets shown on YouTube. So he actually is getting the video. He actually has access to the videos before they're publicized. So when he says something, it's not that he just knows it; it's that he knows it's coming in the next like couple days.
I wonder if Nintendo should post a video and then like not release it and see if they can catch them. Like, isn't they're ninjas, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Anyways, so Fatal Frame: Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. It's a terrible name. It's actually Fatal Frame 4, which came out for the Wii and was never released in North America. And I actually remember when this came out for the Wii because it was an exclusive. It's got good reviews. It was apparently really good. I remember people on, I don't remember what message board it was, they probably NeoGAF, who imported it, saying it was great. So it's just finally, some 15 years later, it's coming. So
I've never played a Fatal Frame game. I mean, I like horror, but this doesn't really do. I mean, it just doesn't. It's not my kind of scary and my style.
I mean, yeah, I've never played a Fatal Frame either, and I'm like, part of it looks interesting. Like the environments look really good, and I'm down to explore a scary hospital with a flashlight, but like these weird kind of waifu girls with like perfect dresses and like they get wet and it's like really kind of pervy. So I'm not.
Yeah.
That always takes me out of a game. Like that's even a reason why like Xenoblade to me is weird. And a lot of
Xenoblade,
JRPGs.
yeah.
So it's like that's a big turnoff for me. So anyways, yeah, this game probably a no, but it's interesting because I think it's a Switch exclusive. Yeah, so that's coming out in 2023. After that, they showed Xenoblade Chronicles 3, an expansion, which I think is just like a new area and a new character with some quests.
It's a new character, and then there's challenge mode. I'm not sure if they showed anything besides the challenge mode in the character. Yeah, so like again, you and I haven't played Xenoblade 3, but I think they have all these like the main 6 or 7 characters, and then they have like an additional party slot where where there's like another 15 kind of side characters that you can put in. I think this is just another side character, and then it looked like some maybe costumes and then a challenge mode.
I mean, I do like the character design they showed. It's kind of like a android skinny neck person.
Oh, I hate it. Like the voice annoyed me so much. I couldn't do it.
I mean, I don't. This didn't really sway me. I don't think any expansion pack for Xenoblade 3 could.
Yeah.
Unless it's like it like ties in with F-Zero somehow, and you're like in,
The new Xenoblade 3 DLC is going to be 48 tracks at F-Zero speed.
No, or it'll be like you're like there's a small chapter in Mute City, and Captain Falcon joins your party like that. Like I would.
That would make no sense.
It doesn't have to. It's a video game. Okay, after that they showed SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake, which was a 3D platformer.
Is this the first time we've seen it? Like it looked. I mean, again, I don't care, but for people that love SpongeBob, like it looked like a decently made game.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. At first I was kind of like, well, is this the PS4 version they're showing us? Like, is this actually the Switch version? Because it looked about too high resolution and like with too much anti-aliasing, like no jaggies. And I guess the frame rate looked around 30, but still. Yeah, I was actually surprised. You know what? I'm probably not going to get this, but while I watched it, I actually did occur to me, if this was Mario running around these environments, like would it be any different? Like it looks pretty good, and
yeah, that's what. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. Third-party game.
Yeah, I mean, some people love SpongeBob, so it's kind of like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the SpongeBob podcasts are freaking out. I think this was already announced, though.
The SpongeBob podcast. You think there's a podcast completely dedicated to SpongeBob?
I think there's probably dozens. Yeah. Do you think
oh my God.
Hey, they probably think it's crazy. There's a Nintendo podcast.
Yeah.
After that, they showed something kind of hilarious, which was Fitness Boxing: Fist of the North Star.
This game looked ridiculous in the way that I find like Yakuza is kind of ridiculous. It just like is so silly, but it also looked kind of fun.
Yeah, like I think if I was gonna buy one of these boxing games, this would be the one for that reason. You know, like because it's like silly and has a character from a weird old fighting game.
Like I would probably buy this before I bought Just Dance. You know what I mean? It looks like it probably would play better than Just Dance and be more accurate, and it just is something different and interesting. I don't know, like I would never buy this just because it doesn't interest me enough, but it's more interesting than a lot of other games.
It's almost like a workout. Like it's like if you wanted
Exactly,
to get
in a rhythm game too.
yeah, like if I was really using my Switch to work out, and this was on sale, like why not, right? Same with Just Dance, really, but I don't like that's not really why I play video games. So
Yeah.
you know, like it's like if I'm gonna be in front of the TV or around the couch, like I kind of want to just chill, and when I work out, I want to go away from the TV and the couch, you know. Anyways, that's my life. Next, they showed something that actually looked kind of fun, which was Oddballers.
Okay, yeah, this didn't do much for me.
It just looked like actually surprisingly polished, and there's 8 players. Has like online, and it almost reminds me of that game Astro Bears, but something you can turn on with anybody.
Yeah.
And so there's something to games like this where it's like even something like Mario Party, which seems fun. It's kind of there's a slog involved to that game where it's like a slow board game where something like this is almost like, hey, you want to play a couple quick rounds, probably loads quick. You playing online, you and a buddy do some quick rounds online. Like it could be good if it has that snappiness,
Yeah, the thing for me is I find there's so many kind of these party quirky characters, crazy zany antics games out right now.
Yeah.
That it just like it's kind of like, okay, well, like there's already bigger ones, like even like Fall Guys would just trump this. Not that it looked bad or whatever, it just didn't. It's kind of like, okay, I've seen it. I honestly thought this was like another game that I've seen on Steam like 7 years ago, because it's like I just couldn't. It looks so similar to so many other games.
I mean, it's one of those games where this could be the last time we ever even think about it, and it just kind of disappears when it releases, or it becomes like a significant hit for a bit, like that dodgeball game,
Yeah.
Or it becomes
I mean,
Fortnite.
if this game was on eShop for $3, I would get it.
Yeah, or if it's free to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, when I first saw Fortnite, I didn't think much of it. When they announced it, I'm like, oh, okay, it looks like another kind of crappy game for mobile,
Yeah.
Anyways, after that, they showed Tunic, which on Switch now, it comes in 15 frames a second.
Really?
No, I'm teasing, but the frame rate looked so terrible in this trailer. Did you watch it?
I mean, I skipped it because I already tried Tunic and I didn't like it at all. I actually like really disliked it.
Yeah, I mean,
did you give it a chance on Game Pass?
Honestly, after your review and what I read about the obtuse puzzle design, I'm like, no thanks. I don't want to spend the time.
The game's actually just hard. Like it's actually really, really hard to the point where it's not fun. Like I haven't even gotten the sword because I keep dying in like a room trying to get, like, it's hard.
I mean, there does something to be said about those kind of games though that are just hard like that. Though, like some people like those kind of games where like the whole world is a puzzle and there's also a big challenge, and it's like
I also didn't find it responsive. Like when you're playing Zelda and you swipe, you feel like you're swiping the sword and you press the button every time.
Yeah.
This game almost has like a wind up and then like a delay to kind of like slow, like to make it more methodical. And it doesn't feel. It feels like you're getting hit because your hit didn't go through fast the way you wanted it to. It really I hated the game.
Wow. I mean, it's weird because
it looks cool.
It got good reviews. Like the reviews are really good, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is just like A Link to the Past," or "This is like Zelda," and this should be on the Switch. So it's just kind of interesting that it doesn't seem. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like it just doesn't seem interesting to me because of those same factors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it does to me, and I think we already mentioned this before, but that game Death's Door, like,
oh yeah.
I already got my fill of this kind of game from that, and I don't need one that's harder than that to take my time,
Yeah.
Like, for me, when it comes to challenging games, like, I guess there's different tolerance levels, but a game has to be pretty amazing for me to endure the challenge, like Elden Ring, But if something's just, like, not incredibly fun or captivating, then I don't know if I want to put the hours in. And like same with something like, for me, Baba Is You. Like you got into that because you loved the puzzle factor. But for me, like that's not fun to me, being that hard of puzzles with that crappy of graphics and not an immersive experience, But that's just different people, right?
Like for me, puzzle games, I'm okay with that as long as it's like, I like puzzles where I know the rules. Where like some games, like I'm gonna say like Myst. I don't know if you ever played that game.
Yeah, for sure.
But one of those games where it's like the rules aren't explained, so you're kind of like, it's like sometimes feels really obtuse.
It's like, oh, you have to
where if you,
press
like,
that brick that you never knew you could press, kind of thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Where like The Witness or Baba Is You, it's kind of like more of a puzzler in your own brain, where you're kind of like working out logic puzzles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like Tunic, like as far as hard games go, like I really really like hard games. You know, I like from soft games, and I played Neo, but only once in a while. Where if you know, if you gave them over and over and over again, like I don't like that. That's why I like games like Zelda or Mario, where it can be challenging at times, but you know, for the most part, you're just coasting through it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's something to be said about playing Zelda and the boss not taking like 30 tries of frustration. Like,
Exactly, and like again, I like that difficulty once in a while, but if Zelda was like that, I don't think I'd, you know, I could only stand so many of those games in a year.
yeah, I mean, we can talk about Zelda challenges for a whole podcast. But let's move on to the next game they showed off, which I'm interested to know if you're interested in it, which is the Front Mission remakes 1 and 2.
I honestly, yeah, you go first.
Well, I was just gonna say they're remakes from, I believe, the PlayStation, and they're pretty high regarded. And these are also, I believe, Switch exclusive. And they're just like, I think they're like SRPG style strategy games. So I'm like, you should be about this.
Yeah, so I mean, I checked them out. So one, I feel like there's already so many SRPGs that I want to play, and JRPGs. Like I feel like I'm RPG'd and strategy RPG out for the next while. You know, like there's Fire Emblem, there's Tactics Ogre, there's Diofield Chronicle, there's Mario and Rabbids. Like I feel like as far as the SRPGs go, I already have so many that I want to play that I don't really think these are going to add to that list.
Well, how come there's such a flood of this genre?
I think I don't know, but Square Enix feels like they just are pumping out so many games that I feel like there's almost just from them alone, there's an oversaturation of JRPGs and SRPGs.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like I just feel like they just keep pumping them out. And the other thing is, as far as like theme and aesthetic goes, like the whole mech stuff is like one of my least favorite themes in gaming. Like I like mech warriors don't really do much for me in games.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that doesn't. I don't know. I'm not a Transformers guy.
Yeah, and I guess there's a lot less character to them, right? Like,
yeah,
unless there's like, there's people. I don't really know. I've never played these games, but it is an interesting point you make about Square Enix, because such a huge portion of this direct is Square Enix, and it's almost like they represent like the biggest part, like JRPGs and SRPGs. Like that's what they do, and that's almost what they are in a way now. Where like they just gonna keep bumping those out,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think Nintendo probably made some deals with them for a lot of these lower tier AA games, which is why you're seeing like, things like Front Mission and I think Harvestella is from them. And like these games, for all intents and purposes, seem pretty mid-budget or low budget, yet they've been in multiple directs and they're getting all this, they're getting all this coverage, probably some I've read online due to press deals that they made, right? Like Harvestella and Front Mission remakes are exclusive. Like isn't it kind of odd that Front Mission, the remake, like one's coming this year, one's coming next year. These have been in like featured already. Like they're not that big of a deal, Like,
yeah.
So, but so there's like something to do with that, and also probably to do with most of these farming games, which is a segue into our next game, which is Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life.
Yes.
This is actually a remake of a GameCube game called A Wonderful Life.
Oh, okay, because I thought Story of Seasons was something familiar.
Yeah, it's a remake of a GameCube game, but I don't know the full story. I know there was a whole thing with Harvest Moon, and the creators left, and they blah, blah, blah. But this is just one of many of these farming games coming up. They all kind of blend together. I mean, people are calling this the Farming Direct.
Yeah, because there's, I think 3 at least were shown today. Yeah, so for me, like I never really liked farming games. I never got into Harvest Moon, but I was obsessed with Stardew Valley. I think it's still to this day my first or second most played Switch game. I think it's just after Smash Bros.
Wow.
I have like 100 hours on it, and the problem for me is I really, really don't like the low quality 3D art style, like the kind of chibi, like just polygonal style that all these farm games seem to be.
None of them are 60 frames. They're all 30 or lower.
Like make a 2D one, or make a like you know what would be awesome if they made an HD 2D farming sim game. Like sign me up for that. Like I would probably play the hell out of that. But these just graphically, they just don't. I hate that graphical style, and as much as I like farming sims, I'm actually looking for another one to play. I'm gonna pass on all of these. I'm more interested, honestly, in some of those kind of potion games or ghost game, like that game like Ghost Chocolatier. Like it's made by the guys that make Stardew Valley, or like there's a few games that are kind of in that same genre of not farming, but kind of those like town management business sim games where you can like keep increasing your profits and do all these kind of things. But again, the graphics really are kind of important for me on those kind of games.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and they all kind of have a very similar look. It is curious that it seems like Stardew Valley almost like launched this huge craze over this franchise, yet everybody is still copying the graphical presentation of Harvest Moon, which was never that popular. You know what I mean? Like, why don't they do the HD 2D like you're suggesting? It's be so smart.
So what some people are doing is they're copying the graphical style of Stardew Valley, but not making it a farm sim, which is some of the games that I'm kind of interested in, because I'm like, oh, like these games have that same kind of feel good vibe, and they look kind of similar, and the gameplay is just a different take on kind of those task managements. But yeah, I really don't get why it seems like this HD 2D genre is loved. It's selling well, but they're sticking to just JRPGs with it. Like I feel like that style has so much more potential.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think the thing with JRPGs that's easy about them is you don't really need hit detection and animation that's like involves hit detection. You know what I mean? Like you don't actually have to have jumping or attack animations or deking. Like there's so much less like programming involved, and they already have the models for like a turn-based or timed kind of JRPGs. And I also think that the other thing is that Square Enix, which seems to be the mafia kingpin of JRPGs these days, like they just already have the HD 2D engine. And it's a lot, from what I've read at least, it's a lot easier said than done to do pixel graphics. Like, everyone, like, I wish they could go back, even with Fire Emblem, like, doing those 3D graphics, like, there's way more animators and designers in the industry who do 3D and 3D modeling, and there's tool sets for that already in engines, where to do animation or pixel animation is like a lot of hand-by-hand, frame-by-frame stuff. So it's just a very different approach to games that's like, that might be the reason why some people think, oh, why don't they just do that? It should be easier, but it's almost not. Where something like Story of Seasons was probably made in like a freeware 3D engine. It's made in Dreams for PS4.
Yeah.
No, probably not. Anyways, I'm sure some of these games will actually, like, of all 5 of them, like at this point there's so many. I think there's 4 or 5 farming games here. One of them has to be good, right? Like just by the odds.
I think Harvestella is going to do well just because it seems the most heavily kind of promoted so far, and it seems like people are really into it.
Yeah, and it also has like the action and the town building and that side of things. So, so after that, they brought out Splatoon. I'm surprised they even put a Splatoon announcement here for a Splatfest.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do they normally promote Splatfest outside of directly? Just a Twitter post?
Yeah, I guess, it just would be Twitter. Yeah, it's weird that, like, I guess it's fine that it's in a direct, but to me it's like, this is not a replacement for, like, Smash Bros. Character reveals. It's not that exciting,
No, but well, you know what? We got to remember that, again, this game sold disgustingly. Like, this game is already a juggernaut, and I think it's okay for their first kind of real Splatfest to do this. I would be annoyed if every time there was one they had a direct, which wouldn't make any sense. But I just I had no issue with it. Like it wasn't like it was an 8-minute video of it. It was just like a good 90 seconds. So yeah, do you know which
it wasn't even 90 seconds, Derek. It was 68.
Yeah, so who cares?
Okay, so the challenge, it was saying, what would you bring to a deserted island? Gear, grub, or fun? I'm gonna say Gear.
Interesting.
Yeah, I also just don't want to be on the winning team this time because then you lose after the halfway point because the tricolor thing is rigged. But maybe they fix that.
Yeah.
That's not this weekend? Wow, it's like a whole week away, 10 days away.
Yeah, I think it's like the 23rd to the 25th.
I mean, it would have been more exciting for me if they were like it's this weekend because it's just enough excitement that it feels upcoming. But like this feels like it's not exciting enough to be 10 days away exciting. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although I'm definitely going to get involved. And the other thing is I'm pretty sure we can vote in the Splatfest like any time now. Like the voting for it goes up early, I think.
Okay.
And then you just play during that period.
Yeah, like for me, it's nice because again, I didn't play 1 and 2. I actually have never played like a Splatfest seriously.
Oh wow!
And like I think I've tried 1 or 2, and I played like 1 or 2 matches, but it wasn't for me. Where right now, like I'm in such a Splatoon 3 kind of groove, and I'm really really liking it that I'm really stoked for this.
Yeah, we'll talk about Splatoon 3 at the end for sure.
Yeah.
But the thing that's cool about the Splatfest is the world changes. Like it's like nighttime. All the levels will change and the town changes. And in this one, it changes a lot. Like it actually looks like a whole different place. Like there's giant floats. It's like a Chinese parade with these dragon floats everywhere. It's awesome.
Cool.
Anyways, let's move on to the next thing, which was a pretty big announcement, I thought. Octopath Traveler 2 coming out February 24th. What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, this is probably my if number one, or if not tied for number one, reveal of the show. Like I loved Octopath Traveler 1, and there are some issues with it. There are some things that could be improved, but I'm betting they are improving on all those aspects for this one. It looks amazing. I like the character designs. I like their kind of what they're gonna go with on their stories. Like I'm day one on this for sure.
Yeah, was there any indication from the trailer that they fixed the major complaints from the first one?
Yeah, it seems like they heavily. I don't know like how much depth they actually drove into this, but it seemed like there's a few little short clips, and they kind of said, how will your party work together? And then it looked like the conversations actually kind of had them riffing off each other, where one of the biggest complaints of Octopath Traveler 1 was that every character, like you recruited them and then instantly they became kind of a character in their own device. Like they didn't talk to the other 7 people in the party. They had their own story, and it was kind of like the other people just helped them, but they didn't communicate. Where I think in this one they're actually making so the characters, their storylines kind of, they intertwine or they talk to each other throughout the stories and kind of become a real party, which would be awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, just at it looks like the graphics and environments, and it looks like there's way more diversity in the. It's just like it looks awesome. Graphically.
Yeah, and I the combat system is so good in Octopath. Like I love the combat system.
Yeah, it's crazy that I think I saw the first one sold 3 million copies plus.
Yeah, 3 point something. Yeah.
Yeah, like across Xbox, Game Pass, across Switch, across Steam.
Unreal. Like that's really good for a new JRPG series.
I'm actually really surprised that they have this game ready to come out so soon, because that's like 6 months away, and it looks so polished, and it seems like they could have hyped this a lot longer. The first one I remember being announced at the 2017 at the showcase for the Switch before it came out. Remember, and then it didn't come out until like a year and a half later in 2018, I think.
Yeah, they had like two different demos. I think they had like 2 complete full demos.
Yeah, so it's like funny that they have the sequel just feels a little bit out of nowhere. It's also interesting that like I think I say it every podcast and all the time, but it's like Nintendo, they've really chosen this kind of early part of the year for JRPGs. They've always been the Bravely Defaults and the Octopath Travelers and Triangle Strategies are always in that first quarter, and same with Fire Emblems too, except for Three Houses. But I know that Awakening was. I know that this new one's coming out in January. I think Fates came out in February or something. It seems to work because there's not a lot of. I mean, it's hard to say. Like traditionally, there wasn't a lot of competition in these early months. It seems like nowadays March and February are the new disgusting months. But
yeah, they're starting to fill up. Yeah. So
it's hard to say. But anyways, yeah, it looks like a cool one. It's also coming to Xbox and PlayStation. Like it's not an exclusive.
It's coming to PlayStation and Xbox?
Yeah.
I thought it was just coming to PlayStation right now.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
There are some people. I just saw some people talking about how it's crazy that Octopath Traveler 1 hasn't come to PlayStation, and it has come to Xbox, but now Octopath Traveler 2 isn't coming to Xbox, but it is going to PlayStation.
Yeah, it makes no sense. This is Square Enix, right? Again?
Yeah.
Wow. After that, they should.
I think Square Enix was like 40% of this presentation.
Yeah, they should have called it the Square Enix Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
After that was Fae Farm, which just another farming simulator. It has online play, unlike but I don't know.
They all blur together. I think this one has magic in it, which is kind of interesting, I guess. But yeah, it doesn't.
I mean,
whatever.
The one thing I was looking for in these farming simulators, if any of them ran at a nice looking frame rate, like looked smooth, and none of them did.
Felt good to play.
Yeah, none of them did. So after that was another Square Enix game, Final Fantasy, the Rhythm Final Bar Line,
Theater Rhythm. Yeah.
Theater Rhythm. I've always thought the names of this series is terrible. But anyways, I have one of these on the 3DS. I think I have Final Curtain Call.
Okay.
And I think it's such an awesome game. I love it. I love it. Like, it's so simple,
really?
But fun. And honestly, this is, I think what they've been doing with Theater Rhythm is like, as it's gone along, it's kind of like every new one is the ultimate one. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if you've never played it, this actually is like a really fun game. Maybe get it on sale. It's definitely not going to be full price, but it's like simple and fun, and like it has great music, and it's like there's a little, I don't know, it's just a really good kind of rhythm game. Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out more thoroughly.
And the multiplayer here looks great too. Like it's like the one I have for 3DS. There's no multiplayer, obviously, so I don't know if there's been a console version. I think it's only been a handheld game so far. It started on 3DS, moved to mobile. They probably had a port on the Vita. Probably not, actually.
Is this game going to be you have to play in portable mode?
No. It's like you can just press a button.
Okay. I didn't understand how those, like, the rhythm tapping part works.
Oh, so even on 3DS, it's not using the stylus.
Oh, okay.
It's not like Elite Beat Agents where you're like tapping and scrolling and moving. It's more like you just press the A button.
Okay, I didn't realize that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like you just tap one button and use the analog stick a little bit, and it does get hard. There might be a little more to it, but it's pretty simple. But yeah, huge music collection across a bunch of Square games, and it's great. Mm-hmm. That comes out in February as well. So what are they thinking? Like, it comes out 1 week before Octopath Traveler.
I honestly think Square Enix has such a disgusting lineup that they can pump out like 4 games a month, and they all will probably do okay.
It's actually kind of crazy. Like, how did their output get to this level?
I know. Like, if you think of the past like 8 months to now, like they've grown and are pumping out so much more than they were a year or two ago.
I do wonder if because they sold was it Eidos, right? Crystal, like the Tomb Raider
Crystal
license?
Dynamics.
Crystal Dynamics.
Tomb Raider, and Kona, I think.
And Deus Ex.
Yeah, I think honestly they also said to their teams, we're focusing on smaller budgets, but pumping out more of them. Because really, Square Enix doesn't pump out that many AAA games anymore. They had the Final Fantasy once in a while and the Kingdom Hearts, but they're pumping out all these AA kind of games. So I don't know if they kind of just have changed their business model. They may have.
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, even the fact that I don't think they're developing, like they're publishing Forspoken as well, right? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But is that developed by one of their studios, or is that just them publishing?
Yeah, it is. It's developed by I think the studio that made Final Fantasy 15.
Interesting. Okay, and the word is that's going to be like 20 to 30 hours, so it's not going to be some 70-hour game. And I think I saw that Final Fantasy 16 is probably on track to come out next year, and that might not be a super long game either. So it seems like even those aren't really in the same AAA bracket as something like Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy 7.
I think they're kind of focusing their scope on what they want their games to be, I think. Instead of these massive, like, unending, perfect 14 years in development kind of 150-hour games, they're kind of saying, whoa, like, this is not profitable.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. Like, and I feel like Nintendo has been doing that same thing for a long time too, right? Where they're not just making every game huge. It seems like the only people who really do that are Sony and Microsoft and maybe, like, Ubisoft. Like, You know,
Yeah.
Ubisoft has the mobile trash, but like in Sony's really the only developer where like every game is this kind of epic now, and even Microsoft, like it seems that way, but even though they always fumble when they release them somehow. Like it's like with Xbox, it's like there's just like horizon one day that you'll finally reach where they'll actually all these games will come out and they'll all be as good as like the 1,000 people who worked on them for 10 years have led up to being. Like it's like, but we've been saying this since like the beginning of mid Xbox One generation, right? When they bought Double Fine and Ninja Theory and all these developers, and it's like still like we're so many years away.
Yeah, like where's their output? I know.
And even with a lot of these big games, like they still have deals with PlayStation to release on them. So I think maybe that'll start next year actually, because God, Starfield's going to come out. Anyways, this is not about Xbox. Let's not digress here.
No, we had a lot of games to go through, and only so much time.
Seriously. Okay, so after that, they showed Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope again. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Looks amazing. Honestly, every time I see it, I want it more and more.
Yeah, I think this is really actually going to be like kind of a AAA game for Switch this year, and they also showed that Rayman's in it. Did you see that? I think that wasn't shown in the Direct, but it was only shown after.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, like this went way under the radar, but it's like I was just scrolling through the Nintendo YouTube, because oftentimes after a Direct they'll post even the things that don't make the Direct. You know what I mean? And one of those was Rayman isn't going to be in this game, so I think it'll be a DLC. It's part of the season's pass, or it's like an extra mission thing, but I believe he'll be a playable character, which is cool.
Cool.
I like Rayman. Yeah, I think it's so fitting, right? And the Rabbids comes from a Rayman game, which is also a Wii exclusive, so it all ties back. After that, they showed Rune Factory 3 Special.
So another farming game.
Yeah, but this is, I believe, like a remake of an older Rune Factory game. And
it is, yeah. I think, yeah.
It actually, the funny thing is, Rune Factory 5 just came out and like got pretty bad reviews because it runs at like 16 frames a second. It has really bad performance and glitches. So it just feels weird to be like, yeah, we just released our latest one. Kind of didn't go very well. Now here's
a
2 ones ago remake. And like, oh, if that's not good enough, like we're working on another one. And it's just like, why don't you slow down and just like chill out?
Make it good.
Yeah. Make it good. Like, I don't know. It sounds bad, but it just, I don't know. I know this series has its fans, but like, I honestly wonder, like, are there people out there that are able to play like all of Rune Factory 5 and 3 Special and the new one and play Harvestella and play Stardew? Like, are there people who are juggling farm sims? Like,
there may be. I mean, some people. Well, I know this is like big. Like I know Stardew Valley, at least for sure, was huge in the kind of casual. I don't want to be sexist here, but like the female kind of girlfriend that doesn't play games, like got so into Stardew Valley, kind of like it's like was a really kind of a big kind of sweep. So I don't know if they're like still hooked on that kind of genre. Like it's kind of like the crowd that plays Animal Crossing. Right, it's like the really really casual gamers.
But I guess my question is there enough of these because I don't think these casual gamers are juggling 3 or 4 of these. Like they're doing one and then maybe 5 years later doing another one. So I just wonder, like, are there enough like to go around, or maybe it's just that these games are so cheap to make, like development wise, that they only need to sell 60,000 copies worldwide. Like
that's what I'm thinking too. Like I really think Square Enix is kind of, and any other company that's trying to do these same things, is pushing low expense, not necessarily low quality, but mediocre quality, but high quantity games.
Yeah,
like just pumping out like many of them that might take hours and hours, but kind of easy to make, like easy to design, but you can sink hundreds of hours into.
Yeah, exactly. Quantity over quality.
Yeah.
But I don't think Rune Factory, that's not Square Enix, that's Natsume, I think, or Marvelous.
Okay.
Yeah. After that, they showed the N64 NSO stuff, which I thought was kind of awesome. There's a few things to take away from this. They showed Pilot Wings, Mario Party 1, Mario Party 2, Mario Party 3, Pokemon Stadium 2, 1080 Snowboarding, Excitebike 64, and GoldenEye 007. What did you think, dear? Because I'm gonna get all these. I'm part of the NSO. Does this sway you? Like, what did you feel?
The only thing that's like, I would like to have these games on my system. And if I had a party, I might get NSO expansion pack for a month to play the Pokemon Stadium mini games, or to play the Mario Party 1, 2, and 3, or especially GoldenEye. It's kind of the thing where it's like, in a couple of months, maybe or even a year from now, I might get Nintendo Switch Online for like 6 months or a year, like the expansion pack for like a year, just so I can play all these kind of old games and try all of them again. Like GoldenEye, I'd love to play that campaign again. Mm. But the thing is really, it's like there's so many new games coming out that it's like I really don't have time to play all of them, and I don't like subscriptions. I just don't like the idea of playing something that I don't own. Anyways, I would really love to play Mario Party. Like, if I came to your place, I would love to play 1080 or the other games I mentioned, or even try Pilot Wings again for the first time in 15 years or something, or 20 years. No kidding. But yeah, I don't know if that's actually convinces me to get Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, but it makes me more likely to get it down the line for a portion of time, just to try everything. I would probably get it for 3 months in like a summer and just try all these games again.
It's an interesting point you touched on, because I was thinking about it while you're talking that you've already paid for the Mario Kart DLC, right? I understand in a way, like, you're gonna end up spending more money than I will, because I get the Mario. I mean, if you end up buying the Splatoon 2 Octo stuff, and if you end up not using, like, other things come out that you might buy, I don't know, like, it's not that much more money than if you think about the NSO, like the minor package you pay for that gives you online play, you're only paying $25 more per year for all of this other stuff, including the Mario Kart, including, I know the Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, as well as the Octo expansion. So it's like, doesn't it seem worth it?
The difference is the $25 reoccurs every month, and
no, not every year. Every year.
Sorry, every year. That's what I mean. Sorry, every year. But calm down.
Every month. That's like that's a huge difference.
Every month. Not every month.
Don't try to scam.
So even if it comes, you're paying that every year, and the other thing is, if you stop paying that, you don't get those things anymore. Like, I have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe courses forever. I could, like, even in 10 years when I don't want to ever have Nintendo Switch Online or whatever it is, the expansion pack, I still will have those courses to play.
Yeah, I guess in my mind, like, how long will this subscription go for? Like, is there ever a point where the subscription will just end and I'll be like, I should have bought them when I had the chance? Or will there ever be a point where this subscription, I don't know, goes up?
I just don't see the $25 a month gets me enough stuff to make me worth it over the long. Yeah. I
mean, for me, I'm
mostly just against subscriptions. Like, I hate subscriptions.
Like, I figured for me, it's the kind of thing where I'd happily pay the subscription until probably the point where I'm not really using my Switch at all anymore. You know what I mean? Like how I paid for PlayStation Plus when I had a PS4 and was using that, and now I just don't anymore. I don't care about those lapsed things, right? And like, if there's a new VR thing one day, Nintendo VR, and everything migrates there, like, then I probably would just stop paying for the subscription then. And I mean, in my mind, if Nintendo carries forward, like, eventually I would hope that these subscriptions would carry over, like your account. But
do you ever rent games from the library?
No, I don't even go to the library.
Well, why don't you ever rent video games from the library?
Because just the gas and travel to get there, and the time it would take to go and rent it and come home and return it, I could buy a game for how much money I'm losing on work for that hour. Like, that's how I justify. Like, it's actually the travel there is not worth it.
It's like I can't imagine the library being that far. It's such a backwards way to think about it. You probably have a library in like a minute drive from your house.
I can probably walk to one of them.
Yeah, it's like 10 seconds. Anyways, we're like so off on a tangent right now. Anyways, I don't have Nintendo Switch Online.
I mean, the other thing that is that the only way to have these games is through the subscription now. Like, there's no way to buy these on a thing. Like, maybe there should be almost, but But
it kind of goes back to what you were saying about the Cowabunga collection last podcast. It's like, after you get it, like, do I really want to play these games again? Like, I like the idea of having them and being able to play them, but it's like, even the SNES that's not part of the expansion pack, it's like, do I really ever play those games again? Like, I might dabble on Diddy Kong or Donkey Kong 1, 2, and 3 once in a while, or like play it for 45 minutes every like 6 months. But is that really worth it? Like, or am I just getting caught up in the idea of having it?
I mean, with Cowabunga Collection, I definitely got caught up in the idea of having it. I'm still happy I have it, but you're right that like now that it's been remastered and re-released, like, am I really so worried about that remaster going away someday and like having no way to get it? Like, if I ever really want to get it, it's there now. It's forever.
It's like it'll be ROM. Like, you'll be able to emulate it so easy.
I mean, the only situation is maybe there's, 35, 40 years from now, climate wars, atomic war, nuclear war happens, and I'm like living in a, bomb shelter somewhere, and I pull out my dusty Switch, and I can still charge it, and I've got all these games to play. I mean, granted, I won't be able to play online, Nintendo Switch Online, none of those games will work, but Cowabunga Collection will.
If there's a nuclear global war, if you're worried about the Switch games that you have, you are in the wrong place at the time.
Hey, if you get bombed into a like a basement somewhere, like in your,
Yeah, but I'm like worried about like getting food and water and like people that are alive around me. I'm not worried about I hope I have my Nintendo Switch games that I can play.
Well, my situation was in a bomb shelter. Presumably, you'd bring food, canned food, and you'd be extremely bored, probably, right? So it'd be the perfect chance to have your Switch.
Okay, let's keep going.
But I just want to talk about these games a little bit because I'm actually people wanted to play Pilot Wings forever, and that game hasn't been re-released since the original. So that's a significant deal. It was never on Virtual Console. There's always thoughts that there was licensing issues with the original developer and the engine, and no one really knew. So I know there's actually a post I saw on Reset Era that someone was like, I guess I'm never going to be able to play Pilot Wings 64. And it was like a year or so ago he posted it. And then they bumped the thread. And the guy's like, are you happy now? And that comes out soon. The other thing is Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 coming to this is kind of weird. It shows me that Super Mario Party Superstars is never going to have DLC. I almost felt like, why did I buy that game? Because this has all of that.
Because you bought it for me.
Because I bought it and it is fun, but it's like this is all of that too, and the true nostalgia rush. Do you know what I mean? Like for people like Juliana.
I love Superstars though. I play it a lot with my friends, so I'm like no complaints for me.
Oh, I forgot you had friends. The other thing that I'm surprised about is that Mario Party 1 got released at all on this, considering it had the whole fiasco with burning people's hands off on the controller and like some of those mini games being so nefarious.
Oh yeah.
I'm really excited about 1080 and Excitebyte 64 because those are both awesome. Both by a now defunct developer called Left Field Studios, one of Nintendo's American developers back in the day that they like their second parties, like they're one of their rares.
But they didn't make Wave Race.
No, that was Nintendo internally. Left Field Studios did the Kobe Bryant games. I believe they did the Ken Griffey Jr. baseball games back on Super Nintendo and N64, and they did Excitebyte 64 and 1080.
I always just thought 1080 and Wave Race were made by the same company. They just like feel so similar.
Yeah, no, they're not. The other thing is that people were really happy about Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. So that's, I don't know if that got you going, but I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that's a huge nostalgia rush.
I like the mini games of Pokemon Stadium. I mean, out of anything there, it was GoldenEye that really was exciting to me.
Yeah, I'm saving that for last. Yeah. But
and the thing is, GoldenEye's got to be coming on Game Pass, right? So it's kind of like, why would I get it when I already have Game Pass?
Well, did you see? So you saw it did get announced for Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah,
and it's
in 4K, 4-player split screen, but it's not online.
It's very strange. Yeah, so the Xbox version has been cleaned up. They say the frame rate's been improved, 4K resolution, but it's still the same game. Like they haven't like redone anything. But why no online play? Like, it's super weird, right? Where on the N64 version, I think that I think it's going to be more of like a direct port. You know what I mean? Like, almost exactly. Like, they won't even have a dual analog controls. And the online play that they mention is probably just the console level online play with friends that Nintendo Switch Online has.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you and I, like, let's say you did get NSO for a month and you and I wanted to play GoldenEye, basically we would just have the same screen at the same time of a split screen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Like, it's not like the game's being reprogrammed so I have a full screen and you have a full screen and we're playing online. Like,
yeah, we're just playing the couch local multiplayer from two different places.
exactly. And it's apparently laggy. Like, all it's doing is interpreting from, like, the host system. Like, it's interpreting your button press onto my system and, like, just transmitting it back to you. So it's like there's a lag apparently, so some games just aren't going to feel great. So I don't really care about the online at all. I think I think maybe there's some sort of Nintendo didn't want it to be online on Xbox or something. But it's still really awesome this is coming after all the hoopla this series has had to go through, and it's like kind of a thing that people have wanted for, like 25 years.
Yeah.
Like, they've wanted it for so long. Like, this game's never been re-released. Ever. Like, it's kind of crazy to think about, right? It's the most popular first-person shooter to come out, and just never came out because EA was chasing the dragon on sequels, and then Activision was chasing the dragon, and then Rare got sold, and it became a fiasco. And only because Nintendo and Rare and Microsoft and MGM and I believe Activision can shake hands,
Yeah.
and it's just an interesting, almost historical kind of moment in a way. And I know it was rumored and leaked and this and that, but it's been rumored and leaked for years. It was rumored for Xbox Live Arcade, so it's just there's a significance to that announcement that I think is big. And I was really happy when it got announced because I'm definitely gonna run through that game again.
Yeah, me too.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
After that, surprise, actually, huge surprise, JRPG from Square Enix is coming out.
I don't even I know what this one's called. I don't know anything about this game. It just looks like another looks like 15 other games is direct.
You've never heard of the Various Daylife series? What is that? What's a weird title?
Various Day Life. Makes no sense. What does that mean?
What does that
What
even
does that mean?
That's such a mistranslation.
They honestly pick two different words and just throw them together.
Yeah, I mean, the page I'm on here, I don't even remember seeing this game, but the page I'm on here looks clean enough, and I don't even know when it comes out. It comes out today. So I think it must be it's a town game, right? It's like, doing tasks for people in the town. I don't know.
I know nothing about this. Yeah.
Yeah, me either. So next game, finally something that's not a Square Enix game, was Factorio. This game actually looked kind of cool. It reminded me of SimCity kind of games and Civ, and it was just kind of refreshing to not see a Japanese folk farm styled game.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
So Factorio is a game that I have on the PC, and I've played hundreds upon hundreds of hours of it. It's like crack. It's probably the most dangerous game I've ever played.
Wow.
I don't know if I would play this on Switch. I also just learned that apparently the lead developer is this really messed up, horrible person. The game is so addictingly good. I think you need a mouse to play it just because you're clicking a lot. It's kind of like tile based where you're laying down buildings, so it wouldn't feel as good when you're moving a cursor to lay something down with the analog. But truly, it's scary how addicting this game is. It's so good, and especially with the mods on PC. And it has. I don't know if it's online on the Switch, but I was playing online with my friends. We had a server. We played hundreds of hours in one summer. The game is so addicting. So if anyone that's listening, if they're still listening at this point, and you have an addictive personality to any kind of game, this game will suck you into no tomorrow.
So just describe, what is the game a little bit? Obviously it's a town builder, but what's so addictive?
It's just so basically you're just trying to automate and make more products that can help you increase your efficiency of automation. So you'll get conveyor belts that will move all of your resources down a line into assemblers, and the assemblers will make more conveyor belts or faster conveyor belts, and then you'll eventually get drones that fly things to different spots, and then you'll get train systems. You can build train railways, and then you get wires, and you can actually do codes. You can do circuitry, so you can be if there's 10 of these going this way, split it to these two assemblers that do it gets so unbelievably crazy. And like we had this game where there was like 5 of us playing. We had this like juggernaut of a base where you have all these different resources coming in. They're all splitting to different amounts to different machines to build different things that are then used to build other things. It's like just gets crazy. And then you can have it like basically what happens is the more you build, the more you pollute. And if you pollute, the aliens of the planet don't like you. So the more you're polluting, the more aliens attack. So you have to build defense. You can build walls and machine guns and grenades. It just gets... the game is so freaking addictive. It's insane.
Wow, that actually sounds kind of pretty interesting and cool.
It's one of those games like if you like to... I can't think of another example, but it's one of those games where like you like to keep forever improving and being more efficient. And there's like a million things that you can do and build and design. It's really, really fun.
Cool. Well, yeah, I guess that's coming to Switch.
Yeah.
After that, they showed something I thought was kind of interesting, this game called Ib.
I think it looks so stupid.
I mean, here's the thing. It's one of those games where I can see it. Yeah, I'm watching the trailer again here, and it does look pretty stupid. I just remember for watching a piece of it. And
that was like the worst marketing they could possibly want. Well, it looks pretty good. You know what? I'm winding it out. No, I'm wrong.
You know what
it doesn't
it was?
Look good.
It's the first part of the trailer where you're kind of like stuck in a lo-fi pixelated art museum. Like I like that idea, like that concept of like having like you can't escape from a disturbing artwork museum. That sounds kind of creepy to me, you know, and like could be some cool puzzles, like short game. But then at the very end, it just got really lo-fi looking, like really grossly lo-fi, and I'm like, I just don't have it in me. So yeah, past that one. After that, they showed some new characters for Mario Strikers Battle League, Paulina and Diddy Kong. This game is not very popular, it doesn't seem. Still sold like 2 million copies or whatever, but like apparently the player base is tiny and didn't get great reviews. It just seemed like this has been the biggest fail of the Mario sports games on Switch so far.
Yeah, I would love to play this game with friends and whatever, but I can't justify that $90 price tag. Like if this game dropped down to $35, which Nintendo would never do, I would get it in a heartbeat.
You know what? Truly though, like I played that little demo, like the 2-day demo, and like there's something about the controls that it's just not.
Don't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. It's like they put too many. They put like 2 types of kicks and 2 types of blocks and 2 types of hits, and like you can hold them down, and then you have to do a little meter, and there's just like one too many steps where like I feel like I'm juggling the controls in a way where it's not intuitive. You know, maybe you need to master it. I don't know. The other thing too is like it does feel kind of limp at this point to release these 2 more characters for a game you clearly aren't going to buy because of these 2 characters, and I'll probably stop playing. And if you stop playing, these 2 characters aren't going to make you play. Like it, and also a game where the main complaint at release was there's not enough characters. It just feels like I don't know what.
I think they probably already had these characters in development or something like that. I can't imagine any other reason.
They must have. I really think they held characters back to be released like this in updates to feel like there's a roadmap. And if they didn't need to get it out in June to compete with Fire Emblem that month. They could have released it in August, you know, a couple months later. I don't know. It seems like this whole game and the marketing and the way it handled updates has been such a failure in my mind. And I was thinking about it today even. Like, what they should really do is the opposite, where they put as many characters in courses at the beginning of the game, because that's like what you want at the beginning. But put new modes. And I know we've talked about this over and over again, but like these games are desperate for just little new modes, like 1-minute soccer, 30-second soccer, bomb soccer, like the gimmicks, even if it's temporary. And that would get people to play. Like imagine Mario Tennis was like, hey, for this month, we're going to have this type of tennis match. And the next match, and then we'll have ring, and then the next month is this, and it rotates. I don't know if rotating is the best idea, or just introducing a new one every 3 months for a year, maybe. And it would keep people coming back every 3 months to play, especially if they incorporated online functions into the new modes. Like, I don't know if programmers are like, oh, you have no idea how hard that is, but I just think that would get the conversation around the game going and being a lot more interesting, and it would add the longevity that they think these characters are adding.
Yeah.
And it would also allow the initial release to get better reviews, which allows better marketing and better initial purchases because it has more of a chock full roster. Like it just, I don't know. I just don't get the thinking of that. Like release a bare bones game, knowing that we'll get more characters sprinkled. It just doesn't. Yeah, I mean, anyways, beating the same drum.
Yeah.
Anyways, the next game, Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the End and the Secret Key.
Wait, sorry, say that. I only wrote down Atelier Ryza 3. What's the subtitle?
It's Alchemist of the End and the Secret Key.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's just another JRPG. Like I don't know. Yeah.
And it comes out the same day as, you guessed it, Octopath Traveler 2. So.
No, really?
Yeah, February 24th, which is also the same day as Kirby.
This isn't Square Enix though.
No, I think it's Marvelous Natsume. The same two developers, I think, do JRPGs still.
Okay.
After that, they showed the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Course Pass. I think the courses look great. They showed obviously a Christmas one, so that looks like they're going to want to get that out for Christmas. And they showed the Peach Gardens from DS, which looks really good.
And I remember that level. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, same. And the graphics look better in these two courses than they have in the previous wave. So that's a good sign. And I don't know. I do think it's a little bit lame being like, here's 2 of the courses. Like, we'll show you the other 6 in a couple months whenever it comes out. We're not going to tell you. Like, I don't know. This is the kind of thing I just want shadow dropped. Like,
it's like, did you really need to show that at all? You know what I mean? It's like people that have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the booster pack, like they know these are coming eventually. It's like It's like what's the point of showing just 2 courses? Like just wait the extra 3 months. You know what I mean?
Totally. Like I get when they first announced it, but I think I'd rather the rest of these just be shadow dropped always. Like,
could you imagine like there's probably some like Did you hear that the Nintendo store in New York is, for the first time since COVID started, they're doing like an in-person reactions thing to this Direct?
Oh, they did? I haven't.
So this is the first time in a couple of years. But could you imagine like everyone there just like, oh my god, Merry Mountain and Peach Garden, oh my, like they're just like freaking out about 2.
You know what? I've watched those before, like those Nintendo New York store reaction videos. Yeah. And, like, they do freak out at everything. Like, they'd be like, Atelier Ryza 3? Oh my god, Alchemist of the End and the Secret Key? They'd be hugging.
In the Smash Bros. DLC characters, they're like, oh my god, this song is in it? This song? And they're like going through the soundtracks. They're like freaking out.
I know, it's hilarious. So I don't know, I'm glad this is there, but it's like, just like, it almost feels like a marketing thing at this point, right? It's like, yeah, Mario Kart's still here. Like, it's still going to be in every single Direct and every single, like, popping up in news feeds always. Like, it's smart, but I don't know. I'd rather just have, like, a big meal than just little tastes once in a while. I'd rather them just be like, hey, here's the 8 coming next week, get excited. Or here's coming tonight, tomorrow, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, looks good. After that was Mario Starts... Nintendo Switch Sports, the golf update, which I thought looked surprisingly good. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, this is one step for me getting more and more tempted to get this game. I was hoping it would be a little bit more than just saying, oh, here's golf. I was like, oh, here's golf, and we're updating another mode for whatever, bowling, and then we're also adding these 2 sports, in the next 6 months. Just like, I'm excited for golf or whatever, but if they're trying to sell me on the game by adding more features, like golf alone isn't going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it would have been nice if they came out and they're like, here's more sports, but at the same time, they kind of.
This is a.
I was going to say they already told us this was coming this fall. They told us the Soccer Kick update was going to come in the summer. Like, they gave us the exact roadmap for this, and it's kind of like, for us to be like, well, why didn't they also have this? It's like, well, they didn't tell us they were going to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's kind of, I know what you mean, but it's like, I don't know.
I think this game just could do a lot better by having a really clear roadmap for the next 12 months. If it said, hey, we're introducing these 5 games if they kind of did a thing like almost like Mario Kart's doing, where it said, there's 6 more games coming every other month. We're going to release one of these new games. Here are the 6 of them. Stay tuned. I'd be like, okay, like that. Now I'm like pretty stoked for this game. Where right now it's like, okay, golf.
Well, I actually think the reason is because that there is no more Switch Sports coming. Like, this is it. Like, Golf is the final update.
I don't know. I thought there was rumors that there was other games already on the data mined them. Maybe they're just like remnants from trial ideas. But I think there was like dodgeball and another game that was already data mined on it. I think baseball was there too.
I did see that, but I mean, we'll see. It just seems like one of those things where you're right. Like, why wouldn't they say it? And how much is adding baseball in 2023 going to like make people run and buy this? I don't know. I really don't know. Also, it's like this. It's hard to say with this one because it is selling well, and in Japan and North America, like it's constantly in the top sales. So, it's like we can't really sit back and be like, well, hey, why would they do this? It is like, if you really think about it, is one of their top selling games this whole year. So maybe it will keep selling. And honestly, with as much as I make fun of it, like I'm a hypocrite because watching this golf update makes me want to buy it. Because it's a cheaper game, and with the golf now, it's almost like, there's golf, there's tennis, and there's bowling. That might be just enough for me to press purchase on that,
Yeah.
Or like we speculated, it'll be a pack-in at some point. But the golf looks good. Like the 8-player simultaneous online looks fun. And the elimination style would be a lot of fun too. I really like that style of playing on sports games because if you're gonna lose, like why play all the holes? And it adds a lot of tension on the last hole.
Yeah.
It added a lot. Like when I did the online demo for Switch Sports, like the bowling was the best part. When you're playing like a 20-person bowling match, and it's like first 2 rounds is 20 people, and then it's like 10 people, and then the very end there's 3. But the one thing I do have a question for you about this, they said there's all 21 holes from Wii Sports is coming back. Did you see that in the trailer?
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Why is it 21? And, like, isn't there 18 holes in a golf course? So it's like, why would there be 21? Why is it 18 plus 3? Like, it's just such a weird number. So if I'm going to do 9 or 18 holes, like, how do I break those ones up? Like,
The only thing I can imagine is there was some weird 3 pitching putt levels, which I don't remember, or they always gave you 9 holes in that game, but they gave you a random 9 holes out of the 21.
That's what I remember too. I just didn't know if Wii Sports Resort changed that or Wii Sports U changed that. I remember that in the original Wii Sports it was random. But did you ever?
I really don't remember, but that's what I would guess.
Because Wii Golf was in Wii Sports Resort.
Wii Sports, yeah.
And Resort, and they improved it and everything. But anyways, I don't know. This looks okay. The weird thing about this announcement was them saying, hey, we're sorry that we have to push it from fall to the holiday. Like, please give us more time. I was just like, well, no one would have noticed if you just said it was coming in November. Like, you know what I mean?
You know how many it's like, you know how many companies delay something? It's like, relax, Nintendo. Like, it's okay. No one's faulting you for that.
I know. No one's like frothing at the mouth so they can finally play golf. Like
yeah.
I actually had completely forgotten about it, and if they had announced it not at all and just shadow dropped it in a Twitter announcement in late December, would not have noticed. No one would have. Like, maybe someone around Christmas time would have said, hey, what happened to Wii Golf? Or Switch Sports Golf. Anyways, let's move on because the big hitters start happening. After that,
some big ones
was hilarious because yesterday, you remember when we were talking? I specifically, Well, the listeners don't remember, so I'm going to tell them. I specifically said to you, I said I think tomorrow Pikmin 4 is going to be announced, and you're like, no, and I'm like, I just have a feeling about it. Granted, I also said F-Zero, so. That'll be next time that I'll feel that way about that one. But they actually announced Pikmin 4 after a long spiel about Pikmin Bloom, the mobile game. Do you think that was a troll move by Miyamoto?
I'm not sure. Like, I think he was trying to promote the game more, but it was kind of weird, right? Like, everything I think is expecting Pikmin 4, and then he's like, oh, let's talk about Pikmin Bloom for like 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, it was really weird. And the weird thing was that they showed a clip of Pikmin 4 first, like a very quick, like, backyard garden, and then went to Miyamoto going on about it for, like, a weirdly long time. But at the same time, I almost get the sense that Miyamoto's kind of like a little bit of like an old man in a way. Like, he's just kind of like, he's old. He looks old. Like, he's getting old. And
he's like in his 70s almost.
And it's almost like, it's not that he's lost touch with like modern sensibilities, let's call them. But I think it's almost like kind of funny, and it's like, yeah, let this old guy kind of just do the thing he wants to do. He's earned it, and
Yeah.
he wants to really promote this mobile game that he probably spent a lot of time thinking about and working on. Like Pikmin's his series, right? So I'm pretty sure he had a lot of hands in the development. He's probably going, hey, I want to push this game again. It's been out for a year, and we've added some updates, and I've been using it a lot. I want to talk about it. And they're like, okay, we're not going to stop you, and no one's going to complain. But I think people would have been like, honestly, I would have been not outraged, but like if it was just Pikmin Bloom, I would have been like, what the hell, like.
Could you imagine?
Like it's like at that point he would actually just be hardcore trolling, and I honestly think he must be doing a little trolling because he even said like now for the more exciting part or the real part. But anyways, this is the most exciting thing from the whole direct for me. This was a big megaton.
This single still image, eh?
With Pikmin 4?
Yeah, it was like one picture.
No, you didn't watch the trailer? You missed it?
There's no.
Yeah, there is. I'm watching it right now. It's a 35-second trailer.
There's no video of Pikmin 4.
Yeah, there is. It's mostly just there's a trailer, announcement trailer, but it's really just the video tracking by locations.
Okay, send me a link because I do not believe you on that.
Google it. Look, I swear.
Okay. Pikmin 4 only has a picture.
No, it's literally. Yeah, one sec. I'll send you the link right now. That's crazy you didn't see it.
Okay, I'm more excited about that then. But yeah, I mean, 2023. I'm excited for it.
Anyways, just look at it right now because there's a lot to glean from this trailer and what he said about the game. I know people I listen to some complaints online of people being like, oh, there's like they showed nothing, but it looks significantly better than Pikmin 3 did. Like
it looks really good. Sorry, I have seen this video, but like I don't really consider this, there's much there.
It's not a big trailer, but it shows the rendering technology in one of the levels, and like it's much improved over Pikmin 3.
The one thing I was gonna say is it looks almost like, and I think you might be on the same idea as me, like an open world design.
I agree, and that because I know that was one of your ideas, and honestly, like the shot under the bench, like that kind of goes to the concept of the game in a way if you think about it, because the the big concept of the game is the camera's now on the ground with you. Like Olimar is going to be the size of Mario basically, or a little smaller probably. Like you're going to be that perspective like an action adventure. So
I thought that. Do you think that camera size is mandatory?
Yes, 100%. Because I got into this discussion on the Fanny boards with somebody, and basically, like you can't just make a game with like fidelity in a close-up environment scalable for when you pull the camera way out, and they're certainly not going to invent some crazy tech where you scale the camera out and it holds this level of fidelity. And that's what I mean about the trailer. What you can glean from it is like the actual fidelity of the graphics is higher because you're not scaled out. You know what I mean?
I like the top-down view.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the major change. It's like now you have it from a much closer perspective. Now, don't get me wrong, I could be wrong about all this, and it's like the exact same game again as we've used to, and you can just bring the camera a little closer, and that's it. Like you just press R button and it snaps into it close to you.
Yeah.
But I don't think so, because this for one, the rumor is that this game got rebooted on its development in 2019, and that it was actually in development and got rebooted. And I think they were literally just kind of making the same Pikmin again. They're like, what are we doing? And the shot underneath the bench here gives kind of this big perspective of the world, like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and you can see off in the distance like the depth of field, and you can see the Bulbasaurs in the distance, the Bulbars, I can't remember their names. And I think it's going to be more like an action adventure on the ground.
Bulborbs, I think.
Bulborbs. So that's kind of, either way, I'm excited for no matter what they do with it. But I am excited that that's kind of a new factor, and also that the graphics are looking really good. So it's like there's a lot to be happy about.
It looks really good. I'm excited for this, obviously. I just felt like there was nothing to really salivate over, and there's no release date, which I was looking forward to on some other games. But yeah, it's I'm really excited. I love Pikmin, so
Yeah.
whenever it comes, I'll be down.
I predict it's going to come probably next August to October season. I don't think it'll come before Zelda.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
I think if it was before Zelda, it'd have to be the March-April timeline, and it'd have to have. It probably would have been a bigger gameplay reveal. But I could also see this come December or come February Direct, like them just being like, "Bam! Look how awesome Pikmin
Coming
is."
April, yeah.
Coming April 2nd. But I can
Yeah.
also see, Miyamoto being super ambitious, this being a little more than their early development, and then at the end of next year they show it again, and it's coming like summer 2024. Like I can also see that direction.
Yeah.
There is speculation that because of the graphics too, like how sharp it all looks, is that it's actually a cross-gen game for Switch Pro.
Yeah, on the Switch Pro, I saw that too.
And why it's
I mean,
no gameplay.
Maybe. I don't know. I still have my doubts that this would be the kind of game that people are like, oh, that's the Switch. This game doesn't make sense to be like the Switch Pro exclusive, you know?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, anyways, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's like so many years it takes to announce a Pikmin game that it's like it feels like this big historical moment almost. Like I remember when Pikmin 3 was announced. Like people speculated for years about it on the Wii. Finally on the Wii U they announced Pikmin 3, and then it takes forever to come out, and it's amazing. And it's like it's the other factor with Pikmin for me is I remember going way back when Pikmin 1 came out. And I remember seeing it at, I think it was Space World or one of those early, before GameCube came out, showcases. I think it was E3 2001, actually. And everyone was like, this game looks so weird. Like, what is this? It's Miyamoto's new game. Coming out it's funny, it came out the same day Smash Bros. Melee. And I remember I got it for that Christmas. You got Smash Bros., I got Pikmin. And I remember I beat the whole game over Christmas break. I don't know I think you watched me beat it.
I remember that when you had Andrew and Mallow over for, I thought it was your birthday, and the three of you literally did not sleep that night, and you played like 20 days of that Pikmin.
Yeah,
I remember coming down the next morning in the family room, and you guys were still playing the game. I went to bed and you were on like day 3, and I came down, you were on like day 26 or something.
Yeah, I love that game. I remember like the first time. I mean, it's like the first time you're timed and you lose basically, and then the next time you go and you're smarter. Like one of the most brilliant things about that game is it's almost designed for you to lose the first run, but it's smart. Mm-hmm. It's not so hard that the second run you're almost guaranteed to do it, but you feel like a genius on the second run, And to me, in a lot of ways, that first one, even though the third one I think is so great, the first one is like the best because of that time limit, and it makes it the most unique and like of a classic, I think.
See, it's funny. I like all three of them as well, but 2 is my favorite for the exact reason that you like 1. Like I like that there is no time limit in 2.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. That's funny how it's like Pikmin's always had like, that kind of opposing design philosophies,
Like I like that pressure of time, but I also like 2 where it's like, oh, I can keep playing after and keep getting more Pikmin and keep fighting things and keep going. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and the funny thing is Pikmin 3 almost tried to have both worlds, but did neither very well. Because it's like, oh, you need to drink the juice, but it's like you have so much juice to drink.
Yeah, you're like 80 days.
It's like there's no real pressure, but it also doesn't feel... I don't know. They never... Yeah, it's interesting that this first and second one seem to like kind of nail both ends of that spectrum, but there's no real middle ground. Interestingly, there is like a clock hanging in this fence here. So like people were speculating about that. What that means.
It'd be well, I think it'd be cool if this was open world and let's say that this is like a park or a backyard, and it was open world, and you didn't have a spaceship, so the clock was in the background. You could always see the clock, or these clocks, like there's some sort of time, and it gets sunset, and you have to like get to like a burrow, and you have to but the nighttime is actually part of the game.
I love that idea.
I think that would be cool.
Oh, I love that idea. Yeah, there's so many. Honestly, there are so many cool ideas that I'm like, I really hope they just Breath of the Wild
I hope they make this game like a real AAA, like go like try to get it up as one of their main staples of like big sales, and just make the game freaking sick.
Honestly, and like based on this trailer and just like I don't know, like they've done the animations, they've done the app, like they're not gonna go cheap on it,
Yeah.
I hope this is further along than we think. I'm so excited for this. Anyways, let's move on to my most excited game is Just Dance 2023 edition. Finally has online play. Anyways, I don't want to talk about this. Do you?
No, I think we should move through, the less significant games to us and just kind of talk about the bigger ones.
Okay, cool. Okay, next was the Harvestella demo. Okay, we've talked about that before. Great. Farming
But
Simulator.
there's a demo for listeners if you want to try it. There's a demo.
Yeah, are you gonna try it? I might try it.
I might try it. Why not try the demo?
Yeah, like it's fun to run around. Like I ran around the Monster Hunter Stories 2 demo for like 20 minutes just to see and feel and not appreciate the frame rate. After that was the Bayonetta trailer, which, funny enough, like the trailer here didn't do much for me. It actually somehow looked worse than the one before. But they did release the 7 minutes of gameplay demo. Let's talk about that a little bit, Derek. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I didn't really have a negative opinion of the kind of part of the direct of Bayonetta 3. I thought it got me hyped, and then the actual 7-minute gameplay trailer got me super freaking hyped. Like, this game looks freaking wild, and it really made me, when we talked about you playing Devil May Cry 5 last episode, kind of how it feels you're stuck in a room, it's kind of the same moves, same combos. And you watch this game, and it's like all of a sudden you're transforming into a butterfly and then summoning a giant demon, and then like throwing a rocket at this guy's face. Like, it just seems like there's so much craziness in this that it looks so fun. I'm super stoked for this.
I love, like, there's the moves where you can like hit an enemy and then like out of nowhere the dragon pops up and just swipes him back at you. And it's like what's cool about this game is when they first showed the trailer and there was like, oh, you can summon the tarantula. I thought it'd be very like gimmicky sections, and it clearly is like deeply rooted into the gameplay and actually looks like some of the most fun use of summons in any game I've ever seen.
And I was gonna say, so if you watch 7-minute gameplay, like there's a part of it where you're on the tarantula or are the tarantula or whatever, but it looks very open. It looks like you kind of like can find secret areas and swing across to them and like climb up these walls. I didn't know, like, is this game actually going to be more open than we're used to from Bayonetta?
Well, that's what they said in the trailer during that section when the spider swings across that huge area to that like square,
the hidden island.
They said you can explore and find fights. So like that whole fight would have been hidden.
Okay, because I didn't watch with sound, so I didn't know that. That's awesome.
But it's still going to be like chapter by chapter basis, which I'm happy about.
And still score based and whatever, yeah.
And we've talked about this before, but even though it has like a lower res kind of Xbox 360 PS3 gen feel, I love how they're leaning into that and going all out with that. And I also think that the color style, like mixing teal with purple with red, is like, it's so weird and different, but it's like nothing looks like this on a visual aesthetic, and it's like almost like taking clashing colors and like leaning into it, and I don't know why I like it, but it just seems like bold in a weird way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think they have great art. Like, the games have a great art style for sure, and
all three next to each other like have their own art style distinction. I did see a lot of people saying they actually think Bayonetta 2 has a better visual art style, which I think I might agree with. Because Bayonetta 2 is like so beautiful at every level, and like it's like just the colors and the epic scale. But this one doesn't look quite as good. But I think that's because of what we just mentioned of like the more open areas.
I also think that we haven't seen much of this game, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure if we look back at the Bayonetta 2 trailers, like, how much really craziness did we see? Where, I think there's a lot more to discover in this game that we're gonna find out is like mind-blowingly awesome.
Yeah, true. It does seem like they've only shown like 1 or 2 levels, anyways, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy too. Like the amount of just in that gameplay demo, there's like already 10 times more enemies than in Devil May Cry 5. Like it really, truly. I don't think I'm gonna go back and play Devil May Cry 5, especially after watching this. It's like cranked up on the hype scale. Like I think it's gonna get good reviews, and I think when it comes out, people are gonna say, "Why didn't we hype this more?" Anyways, let's move on through, Derek. I know it's getting late here. So, Master Detective Archives Raincoat. I really know what you want to think of this.
It's some detective game. I mean, I think it'd be kind of cool, but I'm not going to spend money on it.
Let me put it this way. We'll skip over this quick, but I was more interested in this than the farm simulators.
Me too.
whatever that's worth. After that, they showed Resident Evil's, like, the whole suite of Resident Evil games are coming to Switch by the cloud version.
Yeah, Cloud. Yeah.
You know, Resident Evil 4 remake Cloud is going to come too. You know what? I saw some guy online.
You know what? That'd be awesome.
Well, I saw some guy online playing them, and he just like it's like there's such a delay that like the shooting mechanics like feel awful. And he's like, "This is broken." Granted, it's based on your internet, but it's just funny how like all these games coming to Switch in any other sense would be exciting. Like it'd be like, "What? All these games are gonna play on Switch?" And now it's like, "Oh, cloud version." Like, no care in the world.
But I can't imagine how many copies these sell. Like, do you think there's like even 1,000 people that are like, yeah, I'm gonna play Resident Evil 7, on the Switch version that's cloud? Like, do you think there's really that? Like, how many people really would do that?
You know what? I think it comes back to that question of it's so incredibly cheap to do because it's basically not.
I don't think it's that cheap to do.
Well, it's not running on a Switch. It's literally sending you a video feed based on inputs. So it's like
true.
It's literally so much easier on the development time. And the thing is, like, the servers. The problem is they have to run the servers, and eventually the servers will go down. You'll purchase this cloud game, and you won't have it anymore. But it's just kind of like it's probably pretty freaking easy for them to do. Like it's probably like we saw the same thing with Kingdom Hearts. Like nothing's they have to change the button prompts pretty much, you know what I mean, and put in the safety warnings and pass Nintendo's legal inspections. But as far as programming and like making it work on the Switch hardware natively, it had nothing to do with that. Anyways, let's move on because Sifu.
We have like 8 more games.
I know. Sifu the fighting game. It's coming to Switch. This is something that looks a lot lower frame rate and lower res on Switch. The concept seems so interesting. I actually want to maybe get it if it comes to Game Pass.
I have some friends that have played this game, and they think it's really interesting. It is a roguelite, but the idea is cool where it's like every time you die, I think you get older. So it's like your HP goes down, but your strength goes up. So
I thought it was
kind of weird.
Every battle you beat, a year goes by.
Sorry, that's it. There's some. I know there's some kind of mechanic, but basically it's like as you get older, your strength either goes down or up, but your HP goes like it's like kind of like it's balancing out. So you're drastically one end at the beginning, and then drastically the other end at the end.
Yeah, the concept had me, especially the idea of like getting revenge and like, are you gonna wait till you're old and super experienced and get revenge this way, or are you gonna like be young? And honestly, I just read. So you were actually right. When you fail, the day's time goes by. So if you don't fail, like you're young and you don't have as much experience, and it's probably harder, and then you get to the end, you have this different, younger revenge. Or you die a bunch of times, get really strong, gets easier, and you're older, but then the revenge is like honestly a brilliant concept. Like,
it's cool.
I love that. I wish, what a brilliant idea. So yeah.
I could see it coming to Game Pass.
Same. That's why I'm holding out.
Yeah.
Or being like $2 or cheap one day. After that, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII is coming to Switch.
As well as every other system.
As well as every other system. This is not a cloud version. I'm not interested in this game. I think it's kind of like a weird, kind of like Pokemon Stadium for Final Fantasy. Like you just like get into fights right away.
Oh, I might actually get this for the PS5.
Oh really? Am I right?
Yeah,
that's kind of what it is, right? Like
no, I think it's like another story. It's like another Final Fantasy VII story. Like Brandon told me, he's like this game is gonna be awesome. Like instead of following Cloud, it follows I think it's Zack or whoever. It's gonna be a good game.
Huh. Okay. Cool. I mean, it's a remake, right? It's a remaster of a PSP game.
Yeah.
The only shadow drop for the whole show was the next one. Radiant Silvergun got a remake, I think, on Switch. Came out today.
This game looked really cool. I'm not into shmups, but I mean, it looked nice.
Yeah, it looks really good. Someone said online like this is an amazing game that everyone needs to play, like a classic. So if it's cheap one day, maybe. But these games are so hard. I usually play them once and that's it.
Yeah, and again, there's just so many games. I don't have the time.
No kidding, especially with the next game, which I'm going to get called Endless Dungeon. Honestly, I must have not paid attention on the screen during this part. Like I must have checked my phone. Like this, I don't remember this
game
at all.
It looks like it's almost like The Ascent, but frame rate being trash and graphics being meh.
Yeah, like after The Ascent,
it just looks slow but it's the same kind of idea. It's like the kind of isometric gun, like twin stick shooter almost, is what it seems like.
You know what? Those games cannot possibly be easy to run on. Like, you know how much bullet hell you need to convey in 3D. Like, I don't think Switch will ever be able to run a good bullet hell kind of top down game like this.
Yeah.
Although Ascent, man, what amazing graphics on a otherwise broken game.
Did you? I want to play that game, but I was wanting to play with someone. But
if you want to get honestly, if you want to get back into it, I'll download it again and play it. Like they maybe fixed a lot of the brokenness of it.
Okay. I just want to try for even a couple hours or an afternoon.
I gotta say, the graphics and music and presentation is freaking incredible. And when you play the first, let's say, I don't know, hour or two, you're gonna be like, whoa, this game is amazing. And then all of a sudden you're gonna be like, oh, I'm starting to see the seams, and I don't know where to go, and this boss is impossible, and screw this. And I've hit a glitch where I can't get out of the room, and I keep hitting that same glitch over and over again. Oh, it's annoying.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Yeah.
After that was Tales of Symphonia Remastered. I have a lot of fun memories of this game. So,
me too. But I was looking into it. Apparently, this is literally just the PS3 port of this game, and it still runs at 30 frames per second. And people are just like, this game, like, they're kind of like annoyed that they couldn't put any effort into this. I mean, it's good for people that had the nostalgia and want to play this again, but apparently it's not like. Don't expect this to be a remaster in the way you want it to be. You
know what's weird? So you take a game from an old generation like PlayStation or PS2, you remaster it once on Xbox 360, you wait 5 or 6 years, you release the exact same remaster again on another system, and you just say, remember this classic from the PlayStation 1? Now it's remastered on Switch. It's the exact same game. Like, it's kind of a scam, right? Because you've remastered it once, and then a decade later, you're basically, it's still remastered technically. But honestly, this is still an awesome game. It's like pretty much the only JRPG I've ever came close to beating, other than a Mario RPG.
Honestly, for me, I've been itching for playing a Tales of game, and this one's probably gonna be more expensive than me just to buy the newest one, Tales of Arise or whatever it's called,
Tales of Arise,
or Tales of Arise. It's like I'd rather just get that at this point, you know?
Yeah, totally. And they're just huge games, anyways. Like, who has I don't have that time. So only 2 more games left, Derek. So we're close.
There's one more game actually you didn't, because it was in the sizzle reel, that I thought looked pretty interesting. There's a game called Lego Brick Tales, and it was shown for 4 or 5 seconds. It looks really freaking cool. I can't quite tell what it is. It looks almost like Captain Toad, kind of like that world is just a cube. But it looks like you can build your own Lego design. It looks like, I'm not quite sure what it is, but it looks like you're building your own Lego world, in a little box. It looks really, really cool to me. I want to kind of know what it is and research a bit more about it. But anyways, it kind of was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. It'd be nice to be able to just build Lego in a little box.
I mean, to be honest, I'd be more interested if there was no building and it had to do more like Captain Toad style little world.
I think there is that in it too, though. I don't quite know what it is, because it looks like you can be a character and kind of do all these different Lego little puzzles in the box. So I'm not sure exactly, but I don't know. You should check it out if you haven't. If you're.
I mean, honestly, I've never been into the Lego video games really, but.
Me neither.
I agree. This one actually did catch my eye, and I thought the graphics were pretty impressive. It was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I'd love you know what I'd like is a Lego game that was like a puzzler, where almost Legos falling from the ceiling and you have to build them or something. There's so many.
But that's what this might be.
Did you look it up at all?
No, I haven't. But it's there's weird stuff where you're building stuff, but there's also stuff where it's it looks like you're piecing things that it was told you to piece. And then you're also playing in it. There's a lot of it's just interesting.
Huh, that is interesting. There's another game called Lego Builder's Journey on
Switch.
No, it looks like it is on Switch. Got a 75 on Metacritic. I don't know if this is something like that, but it looks very similar, like the style.
Anyways, I just wanted to mention it.
You might like Lego Build. You actually should check out Lego Builder's Journey, because it looks like what you want it to be.
Okay, I'll check it out.
But anyways, let's move on. We got 2 big games to talk about left. The first one is the Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe.
So just remind me, is this the remake of like the SNES game?
No.
Like,
so
or what's
no.
this the?
So in 2011, near the tail end of the Wii's life, they released Kirby's Return to Dreamland. 2011, same year as Skyward Sword. Like it was basically the Switch's big release in 2011, other than Skyward Sword and Xenoblade in North America.
You mean the Wii?
Sorry, the Wii. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're remaking it. It's weird. I feel at first I was like, "That's weird. They're remaking that already." But it's been 12 years, and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's actually been 12 years since like the Wii was on its death." And I think the thing with this game is, for the love of God, it cannot be full priced. They're only adding. It looks like they're only adding one copy ability from Robobot, and 4 players. It's just a good like 4-player Kirby game. I think what I heard is it's better than Star Allies. Like it.
Okay.
Star Allies.
How much would you ever buy this game, and for how much?
I probably wouldn't, because I don't actually enjoy the 2D Kirby gameplay very much. I did have the one on 3DS, Triple Deluxe, just because it's like, had the 3D effects and stuff, and that was cool. But
I mean, you just bought one earlier this year, so
but that's the 3D Kirby. And what I was saying is I don't enjoy the Kirby 2D gameplay.
Okay.
Like I actually bought, I spent $90 on Kirby Air Ride. I bought the Kirby Cake Racing game. Like if Kirby's in 3D, it's all game. I bought the I got Kirby Canvas Curse. I bought Kirby Rainbow Curse. Like if it's not a 2D Kirby game, but yeah, the 2D ones are they're like slow and easy and kind of boring. And they're like, they seem like they are really for kids. Even Epic Yarn, which I got for the art style, was too easy and I'm not as fondly remembered as other people are about it. I thought it was weird that this came out, considering they've already had like a major 3D Kirby game come out so recently, and they also had the Kirby Cake game come out, and it just seems like another Kirby remake. Like you couldn't do a Twilight Princess remake, you couldn't fit in another Mario remake, you couldn't fit in another Metroid Prime freaking remake, but another Kirby. Like I don't know, it felt weird. Especially since it comes out the same day as Octopath Traveler 2, which is weird.
Yeah, that is weird. I'm the same as you. I don't really love Kirby. Like I don't mind playing a game here or there, but yeah, I mean, for all the people that love Kirby, great, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I know some people are happy with this, and it's just kind of like, at the end of the day, it just feels like, okay, great, there's more content there. I really hope it's not full price. And yeah, it's almost like this game's more unusual, like in lieu of other games that aren't being remade, like But I think they're easy to remake or something. I don't know, like. I don't know what it is. Like.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get to our last game, because I think we're going to talk about this for a bit.
Okay, so after that, they did one more thing, the trailer, and it was Legend of Zelda. This is, Derek, I'm just going to let you talk about it first, okay? Go on.
We got the trailer for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, but it now has a new title, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And we also got a release date coming May 12th, 2023. The trailer itself wasn't a lot to it, but there's enough to kind of get me excited about certain things. So we see kind of a mural, or like a hieroglyphs, and some things. I'll talk about that in a sec. And then Link comes out. He's up in the sky. He eventually jumps and he lands on like a stone bird flying thing. And he also there's a way to teleport up to the sky using like these certain blocks and going back in time, and there's a lot of kind of interesting mechanics there, and it seems like there's a lot of stuff in the sky. Like I was kind of surprised how many kind of islands there were up there. I don't quite know how they're going to kind of do that whole transition of loading the sky versus loading the ground. It looks like there was kind of like a loading screen in the clouds during the game. But yeah, it looks really cool. Like I really like those kind of new elements. I'm curious of what it's going to be like, and as far as how much it's going to be similar to Breath of the Wild, how much it's going to diverge. Because, you and I have talked about this to death before. I really like Breath of the Wild. I loved it. Like it was a 9.5, but it's not the best Zelda of all time to me, because It didn't have that kind of progressive getting power-ups, and it didn't have a lot of main dungeons, and it had a lot of those mini dungeons. In this game, so I want to talk about those stone tablets at the beginning. Mm-hmm. There's these 7 tiers around this kind of picture.
Isn't it
so
8?
I have a feeling
eight tiers, I thought.
I thought it was 7. Maybe I thought it was 7. Like, anyways, we can double check that. But I think those are going to be the things you collect in dungeons. Mm-hmm. So I have a feeling there's going to be 7 or 8 or however many dungeons, and I think maybe each one you get will unlock a new power. So like maybe you unlock one and it gives you time stop, or you can walk through walls, or whatever all these kind of weird powers are. Again, I have no idea, but I think those are all kind of cool, and I think that the flying bird is a really awesome idea because, you know, in Breath of the Wild you had this parachute where you could be in the sky for so long, and, you know, we've seen from speedruns of Breath of the Wild, people can fly across the entire place, so it's definitely possible. And now they kind of brought in the mechanic of, you know, now you can actually be in the sky the whole time. You don't ever have to go down. You can just fly across the land, which I think would be really cool. But yeah, I mean, didn't show that much, but I'm still hyped for it.
I mean, it was definitely more of a teaser trailer, even more than the last trailer they showed for it.
Agreed.
Because it was like literally, I watched it probably about 8 times, and it's like I even watched it where I was like freeze framing. There's only like 5 shots in it. Like, it has a lot of the hieroglyphs at the beginning, a lot of building that, building the hype. And then he opens the door, he jumps, he climbs something, he's over here, he's over there, the end. Like, it's really, really quick. Mm-hmm. Which I'm fine with. But I saw some people complaining about that. I was like, give me a rest. Like, you know they're going to show it. Like, the date drop, the name drop. Like, what else? Do you want them to just ruin the whole game for you? Like,
yeah, you know this game's going to be freaking awesome. So it's like, why do you want to see everything?
Yeah, and you know they're going to do some sort of, like, Zelda Direct in April or May and go hands-on with staff, with press and everything. Quick question, though. Do you think that it's Tears of the Kingdom or Tears of the Kingdom? That's a big controversy.
Tears.
Well, there's a lot of people...
Tears.
Okay, but people are discussing...
I didn't know there's controversy, but I thought it was pretty clear Tears because the pictures of all these 7 teardrops.
Yeah, but it's also the kingdom's been torn to all these pieces, right? So a lot of people think it might be like a double play, or maybe it's just maybe not. Like, people are like, no, they don't think that.
What's the title in the other languages?
I don't know. So I think I don't think anyone's actually been able to confirm if it's Tears or Tears. But it's kind of funny. I mean, for me, I always interpret it as Tears, but to me, it was more like you're collecting tears, the tears that you can warp upwards or drip from the sky, but also like some sort of negative event that happened to the kingdom, right? Like the kingdom being killed.
Yeah,
again,
I never
right?
thought about that. That's cool.
Like the kingdom, as we saw in the previous trailer, that Hyrule's now again lifted into the sky, and there's all these fragments. And the one cool takeaway that I took a few cool takeaways from this, actually. The first one is that Link's hair is long, looks really cool.
Yeah.
The second,
we've seen that before, though.
We've seen that before. The second thing is that the fragments of the sky are pulled up from the ground of Hyrule. So if you actually look at the ground, like if you freeze frame at a moment when Link's falling and you see the ground, you can see like chunks of the ground gone. So all those areas will now have like deep areas to explore, like presumably new areas, right? Because like a whole mountain that was there before will now be in the sky, and that where that mountain was will be like a big a hole,
crater.
Basically. Yeah, crater. The other takeaway was that I think exactly opposite of what you said. There's no loading time at all when you jump, and it was just pulling out into a cutscene. Yes, there seemed to be a part where in some place you were so high in the sky that you couldn't see Hyrule below, and when you're jumping, like there's like a white flash before it loads in, I guess, but it still looks perfectly seamless. And
I think it's seamless. Yeah,
I think that moment in this game, I think that's going to be the big, like when they show this game to press for the first time or when the game first starts, I think you're going to like wake up in the sky and have to jump. And like that's going to be the opening, like whoa, like you can like you're jumping, and they haven't really shown that yet. But I think you're going to have a lot of control over it. And actually, the other takeaway was that there's been a few patents that Nintendo made over the past few years.
I was just going to bring this up too because I just heard about this too. You go though.
Okay, this is hardcore like nerd people know this, but there's two patents specifically that caught my eye, and one of them was the way you fall. So whether or not you're like pencil diving down or like doing kind of like a skydiving pose, and then in this one, like it was like there was a feet first adjustment. We saw like him switch to his feet fault going first, and then he landed on the bird thing or the paraglider. And I think that's going to be like part of the gameplay where it's like you're falling really, really fast, and then all of a sudden you're like you go up to the one mode, and then you're like kind of gliding over here, going slow, and you go really fast. And I think like there's going to be a very intuitive control mechanism in the skydiving. And also I think that's going to be really it's just going to be awesome because I think there's going to be places like way, way high up, and you're going to basically just fall and be like, well, I'm just going to see where I land on this one, and it'll be a whole new experience. Like, it'll be, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what's going to happen, and maybe you go all the way through and you land back on Hyrule. And I just, the other thing was the arrows. The quiver on the back is in a different position, and there was also a thing where you can shoot arrows while you fall. That was one of the other patents.
So, yeah, that's what I was going to say. So the patent about, there's a certain shooting mechanic, and I saw someone ask, why would there be a patent for shooting mechanics for arrows? There's been tons and tons of games, including Zelda, that have fired arrows before. And someone replied to that guy and he said, if they're patenting how they shoot arrows, it's got to be something unique and significant to the game. So maybe the way they do following and arrow shooting is going to be something so monumentally new and awesome that they felt it was worthy of a patent. So like I have a feeling like there could be fights where you're literally fighting a boss and it's flying around the sky, and you, like you said, you're falling and moving and deking and speeding through, but then you're like rolling onto your back and like shooting the arrows upwards to hit its underbelly or something crazy,
Yeah, totally. I do wonder about the actual like real physics of that though. Like if you're falling straight down at like terminal velocity and you fire an arrow down, like
not down,
but could you fire the arrow down, like, or is it only firing it back up? Like how does the and if you're falling downwards and you fire the arrow up, I guess something else has to be falling down at the same speed as you to get hurt by that arrow. Like,
I mean, if you're falling at terminal velocity, the thing is you wouldn't be able to literally pull the string back. You wouldn't be able to pull the bow back to fire the arrow.
Yeah. So I mean, anyways,
it's gonna be, obviously it's gonna be like video gamey where it's like clearly that's not possible, but they're just gonna make it look like it could be possible, and you'll do it.
I guess in my mind, I have no idea how they're going to make that interesting, like falling with arrow shooting. But I think I'm excited to find out, I guess. And yeah, I think it's awesome. Like they finally, I remember I told you before, like, oh, we've never seen where all of Hyrule with the things in the sky, and this time we did. Like we saw just how many islands, and giant islands too. Like there's ones in the distance that are huge.
Yeah, that one in the background, that one shot is like massive. Like that's why I think it might be that could be an entire dungeon in itself.
Yeah, totally. I think there'll be dungeons probably in the sky and the ground, and in like caves underground, and yeah, it looks. Oh man, I can't wait for this, and I really like the name. I think it looks great, and I'm excited it's coming out May 12th. Like that's a great date. Like
and now we have a time.
Totally. I might have to skip your wedding if I'm still playing it. So 2 months later. Anyways, like one question a lot of people are asking is, do you think that this is going to coincide with a Switch Pro release date? What do you think?
I'm going to say
that?
no.
You're going to say no. Okay.
No.
Interestingly, because I'm on the fence, because on one hand, this would be the perfect way they showed it to still have that. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to give away there's a Switch Pro. They don't want to kill their holiday sales. They want to keep momentum going. And then like next year they're like, okay, it's coming out for Switch and Switch Pro May 12th. Like it really is the perfect day to launch a Switch Pro. And they can very easily announce it in March to maintain sales momentum through the fiscal year. Announce it in March, release it in May 12th. You know what I mean? And still be a big holiday seller when the DK and Pikmin come out. And 2D Mario or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like...
The DK, yeah.
I just think that... I actually think there's probably a better chance of a Switch Pro, but that's one half. The other half of me says, I think this game looks amazing, and it also looks amazing in a way that I know will run on Switch. And also...
That's what I think, yeah.
I feel like they found a really clever way to use like really open feeling game design where it's like, but you're still just falling through the sky. Like there's not like, it's not like grass has to load in a level of details. Like it's really just like cloud structures and like maybe some enemies and islands. Like it's not crazy. Like if they figure out the actual like design of it and the controls and the feeling of diving, like they can do this. The one thing that I thought was really cool too, by the way, is did you notice all the storms in the sky?
I saw the one with the like the thundercloud. Yeah,
There's one, but then in the big shot, if you go really slow, there's like a big storm like over a whole area of Hyrule that's like just lightning strikes, and I do wonder how that's definitely going to play into it. But yeah, I'm absolutely stoked.
yeah, that's cool.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Let's talk about a few.
So what would you?
Sorry, what were we going to say?
I was gonna say, what would you rate this direct overall?
Okay, so for me, here, let me just say, when I first saw this, I was so hyped. I'm like, this is a 9, maybe a 10 out of 10 direct. But I did think about it a lot, and I'm going to have to lean on maybe an 8.5, solid 8.5. And the reason for that is, at the end of the day, like, the only major announcement was Pikmin, for me, really. In terms of new games, yeah. I mean, I'm giving a score that's based on the fact that they showed a wide range of games for everybody, but I'm also have to incorporate my own feelings into it, right? Like, I'm not a huge JRPG or SRPG fan, so even things like Fire Emblem and Mario Rabbids, like those games, I'm not going to buy. They don't speak to me. Where really Pikmin does, Bayonetta does, Zelda does, and I already knew about Zelda, and I already knew about Bayonetta.
You already knew about Pikmin. You predicted it.
But I already knew about Bayonetta. And granted, like, Zelda looks great and sounds great. And it's coming in May, which is what they told us already. Like, they already told us spring. So it's not like, oh, yay. It's, like, nice to see the dates. We're leaving. But it's not like we got a huge gameplay reveal. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I guess the 8.5 is more like I'm saving that 9.5 or 10, like, for those where they do give us those kind of, like, Omega things. But then I was thinking about that, too. And it's like, I know they almost need to balance. Nintendo doesn't want to just announce everything at once because there comes a point where it's like, oh, there's another Metroid Prime coming soon. Well, I guess I won't buy Harvestella. So there is a strategy where clearly they don't want to fill you up, if that makes any sense. They want to like keep you hungry all the time, where you do try these games, and it's such a smart strategy to focus on 6 to 8 months. And I'm like, they don't need to have the Sony 2015 Direct or the E3 2013 Desperate Nintendo Wii U Direct. Like, they don't need to...
And they also don't need to say that their games are coming out in 2.5 years.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like whenever they do it, like, besides for maybe Zelda and, the occasional game, every single one of their games they announce 6 months out or even 3 months out, like, it's going to be a juggernaut game. It's like, they could next year, let's say like, I don't know, August rolls around, and they say, hey, Mario Odyssey 2 is coming for December. Like, that's enough time for them to, like, make that big,
I think definitely their plan next year is in June, like after the Zelda releases and all that hype kind of happens, they'll announce their kind of big Nintendo property for the fall. And I think it's either going to be a new 3D Mario, 2D Mario, or Donkey Kong. Like a kid-friendly Nintendo IP, And this year, like, we're not getting that Mario platformer. And we got one at the beginning of last year, so it's been a while now since we've gotten a good Mario platformer. But on the same side, I do have to say, like, the 8.5, like, it's obviously it's strong. Like, there's the N64 online and GoldenEye and Pilot Wings, like, that's great. But it's like, it's not, oh, here's Game Boy Advance and a ton of games. You know what I mean? Like, this, it's not as great as it could have been. And Pikmin was awesome. I'm so happy about that. But it wasn't like a great gameplay reveal and it's coming next, March. It's not like when Dread was unveiled and it's like, hey, this is Metroid Dread. Here's a great look at it. Looks amazing. Comes out in 3 months. Hands on. Like, it's like, whoa. So it's nothing really did that. So I guess in my mind, I'm saving a little bit of room for the 9s and 10s that may never happen, but for the hypotheticals of those happening,
Yeah.
The other thing I'll note before I ask you your opinion is that clearly there's some rumors that didn't pan out. Like, some did, Fire Emblem and the naming of Zelda, but Twilight Princess and the Wind Waker were so heavily rumored, and they're not coming. It doesn't seem like, and at this point, I don't think they're going to come until 2024 or later. Maybe they'll even be like 4K editions that come out for Switch Pro, But I also think that was smart of them not to release another Zelda. People mentioned this is the first calendar year without a Zelda game in a long time. So they could have maybe slotted one of those in the holiday, but I feel like with this coming in May, they probably don't want to like say, hey, get your Twilight Princess Wind Waker double pack, 95 hours of 3D Zelda adventure, like to tire yourself out while we're on the marketing cycle for the biggest game of all time. So it's like, I kind of understand, right?
Yeah.
And and honestly, I wasn't gonna buy either of those games anyways. I just don't have it in me to even replay them, you know. I don't think either Twilight Princess or the Wind Waker are that amazing to begin with. But the big hole that we both thought was coming, and it seemed like every single person on the whole internet was coming, including every leaker, is Metroid Prime Remaster. And you know, I was going both ways on this. On one hand, it's like I still think it's coming, or maybe it's not coming, and it's my fault for expecting it, yada yada. But here's the thing, like, if they aren't working on it, let's suggest Nintendo's not working on this game. Well, why aren't you? Because, like, these games need to be remastered. This game is like, you've remastered a ton of other games. This is one of your highest reviewed, highest acclaimed, biggest Western Game of the Year games ever. And it's the 20th anniversary. And what is your console also weak on? First-person shooters. So it's like, it's your big staple thing. And it just seems like such a missed opportunity to not, like, they could have had this banger and been like, and here's Metroid Prime Remaster, looks awesome in, 1080 60 frames, coming this November on the anniversary, put it right head to head with God of War as kind of like a Western mature, older, people like you and me who might not want to get Pokemon kind of audience. I think it would have done really well. And at this point, maybe people are predicting maybe it'll be like announced at the Game Awards and like a 2-week later release, kind of like Super Mario 3D All-Stars was 2 weeks later. But I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe they'll announce it at the Game Awards for next year. Maybe it's not coming at all. What do you? But I guess for me, it was a hole missing, and I think it also would have been like, yes, Splatoon was a huge game that just came out, but this fall, like, I'm really only looking forward to Bayonetta 3 on Switch. Like, there isn't. And that's pretty niche of a game. Like, I'm a very specific, that game's not going to sell huge, but this would have been a big Nintendo character staple, first party, 60 frame exclusive, big November game for non-Pokemon fans. And they didn't really hit that home. And I'm going to feel like come November, late November, like, there's not much for me to be excited about Black Friday, Christmas season for Switch. I'll be playing my older games, but do you know what I mean? Like, what do you think about all that? Like,
yeah, I mean, I obviously want to play Metroid Prime Remake 2. I have so many games that I want to play this holiday that I don't feel like that Switch hole as much as you. And I also, like, for me, like, I Live, even though it's already come out, or Tactics Ogre. And I am kind of interested in Pokemon. It does look pretty interesting. So there are some games there. I agree with you. I would like to have that Metroid Prime Remake. It's a bummer it wasn't shown. If it's even being made or not, who really knows?
Do you think it is, or do you think it's not?
I don't think it is, to be honest. Or maybe a port. I really don't know, or I don't know. Yeah, so like overall, the Direct, I'd give it actually more like a 9, just because it had a lot more games that were catered to me and my interests. Like I made a little list of all the games that were kind of awesome to me, and I got Fire Emblem, Octopath Traveler 2, Mario and Rabbids, more DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Pikmin 4, Bayonetta 3, and Zelda. And, even some other games here and there that, were interesting enough to kind of think it was cool. But that alone is, like, such a sick lineup. The fact that they announced Fire Emblem, Octopath, and Pikmin 4, and then showed off more Bayonetta 3, more Zelda, and more of Mario Rabbids. I think to me, like, that's such a good showing. You're right. There are things that I would have liked more of. But, if I think of other Nintendo Directs that were kind of weak to me, this is a pretty strong Direct from them. So overall, I'm happy.
For sure. I mean, and like I said, I'm strong 8.5. But yeah, I thought it was like pretty damn good. It's funny though, online, like there seems to be a lot of mixed opinions on whether or not they like this Direct. Like some people are super happy and some people don't seem to care. And I was actually listening to a podcast on the drive home, like their impressions, and they thought it was terrible. they're like, where's Metroid Prime Remake? Why there's so many mid-tier games? They barely showed Pikmin, and it's just kind of like, but anyways, yeah, I don't know. Good times. I don't know if there's any other comments to go about it, but you're right that like in a general sense, like their lineup is super stacked over the next 8 months, and also Nintendo doesn't usually have we've lived through the Wii era and the GameCube era and the N64 era where like this would be like this many exclusives would never happen on those systems.
Yeah, agreed.
And
I think it just this is a good direct overall.
It was a good direct. Okay,
yeah,
James.
like it just
So we've done a super long chatter. Should we save our talk about what we've been playing and PlayStation and everything for maybe another day?
I think so, because especially since we've both been playing a lot of Splatoon 3, I think we can talk about that more in detail, and that's basically all I've been playing. So we'll I think for next time for sure.
Okay. Well, okay, listeners, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Let us know what you think about the direct in the comments below.
Yeah, leave a comment for once.
Please, if you're out there. Cool, okay, Derek. Well, thanks for chatting. It was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. All right, this is Derek. See you later.
This is Peter, Nintendo Bros, signing out.